In this video, we're going to show you how to do a poor man's tune-up. Well, we're headed over to the auto parts store. I've got to go buy a couple of things. We're getting ready to sell the 78 F250. So we're going to get a few things to update and give it a mild tune-up. But I'm going to show you how to do a tune-up on the cheap. So if you're a little strapped for cash, you can get it done with minimal expense. Now, because I'm selling the truck, I'm going to go ahead and spend the money on everything I need. But when we take all the other stuff off the car, we'll show you what you can reuse, what you should reuse, and what you shouldn't reuse, and we'll show you how to go over all of it. In true auto part store fashion, they have some of my stuff at the last store, and I've got to go to the next town over to get the rest of it. And nobody has a rotor. So we'll go get the plug wires at the next town south, and then we'll head back to the house. Well, we got the plug wires, so now we're headed back to the house. Okay, so we're back from the auto parts store now. We got our coffee. We spent a total of about $75 altogether with everything. We didn't get the rotor, but the major cost was the plug wires. Those were about $29, $30. So the distributor was $16.99, and the spark plugs were about 8 of them for $22, which, well, they've gone up a little, but for the most part, this is not necessary, and I'll show you how you can clean that up. But truthfully, if you're going to be doing a tune-up, even if you don't change out the rotor, you should always change out these, because these crack. The rotors can be cleaned up and used multiple times, but these right here have a tendency to crack and get a lot of moisture under them. So we'll fix that. And then, like I said, new plugs. But if you don't have new plugs, I'm going to show you here in a minute how you can take the old plugs, clean them up, and reuse them. So we got the first one out. It's a pretty carboned up. We got a little bit of oil, but it doesn't look too bad. So let's clean it up, and I'll show you how that works. If you have to reuse a spark plug, take some parts cleaner and you can hose it off like this. Get the carbon out of it and give it a really good look, and that may have done it. You really don't want to use brake parts cleaner. Use carburetor cleaner, because brake parts will leave a residue where carburetor cleaner won't. But it's parts cleaner. So clean it out, look at it, make sure that it's not cracked or broken, and that the nub on the spark plug is still in good shape. What you really want to do is take a little emery board or a piece of emery cloth, file off the top just a little bit to get it shiny, and the top of the little point here, re-gap it, and put it back in, and it'll fire like a new plug, and it'll get you down the road for another month or two. So, but eventually you will have to replace it. But if you got to reuse it, that's how to do it. Now that we got the plugs done, let's go and talk about the cap. We're going to swap out the cap. Swapping out the cap isn't that hard. It's just a little bit labor intensive. Now, if you're not going to do anything else, swap out the cap. The caps is where a lot of problems happen. They get cracked, they get a lot of moisture under them and all that. And you know, the plug wires get loose and whatnot. So go ahead and we'll pull this cap off, and I'll show you the underside of it. Alright, so now we undid the clamps here, and we'll just pick it up. And the rotor is right underneath it, and the rotor will just pop right out like that. So let me show you what to look for on a rotor. On the rotor, you're going to look at the wear here in the spring. That's still pretty good. And you're going to have the tip here. Clean off the tip, but you also look underneath. And there should be, right here at the top, you'll see there's a little keeper. And you need to make sure that plastic piece isn't chewed up. If that plastic piece is chewed up, you need a new rotor. But it's not, so we're going to clean this up, put it back in, and then we'll put the new cap on. So we'll just clean this off with some parts cleaner, and then we'll wipe it down, and a little bit of emery cloth, just to barely make it just slightly shiny. You don't want to take any material off, you just want to take the carbon off. So clean it up and let it dry, of course, and she'll be good to go. Okay, so now we haven't put the rotor back in yet. We're going to do the cap, and the reason we didn't do that is because we need to look into the rotor. And there's some crap down in there, but it's nothing detrimental. So what we're going to do is figure out which way the rotor's set. It's got a keeper right here, which will go into this slot here. So we'll put the cap on, and then we'll take off and change out the wires one at a time to put them on here. Now we're going to change the wires out, but with when you do it this way, you just do it all one at a time. Takes a little longer, but you're going to have all your wires exactly where they need to go. So just take your time, do it one at a time. Don't get in a hurry, and this will go real quick. So let's do that. We got the old cap out. It looks pretty good. It's pretty filthy, but you can definitely see some wear underneath. That's pretty wore out. You can tell there's been a little bit of pre-ignition there. But for the most part, it was time to change it. You can see and then on the top side, you know, the plug wires were all stuck, and there's a little bit of corrosion starting to happen. So, yeah, it would have worked, and we could probably clean it up pretty good. But, yeah, these caps are pretty cheap, so we'll go ahead and replace it with a new one. But we'll definitely save this one for a spare, because it's still good. Okay, now we're going to start on the one part where everybody gets in trouble. This is why I said do it all one at a time and be very patient. If you do the plug wires, it's important to take them out and lay them out, and we just do them one at a time. Now, this is the coil wire. We'll just set this up here next to the other coil wire, yeah, so we'll do that. But so let's pull off our first plug wire, and then we'll find the corresponding one, we'll put it on, and we'll just go through and do it that way 7 more times. Okay, we got the first one out, and you just have to basically follow it up and just watch the order it's out, and then pull it off the cap, and then when you get it, come on over here to your pile and lay it out, and we'll go find more coffee. We'll go find the one that corresponds. Actually, this right here, well, that was good. Well, it's about the right length, so yeah. So we'll take this one, put it on, run it the same way, and just do that 7 more times. Okay, so we got the plugs, we got the wires, we got the cap and rotor. Well, not the rotor, but we got it all put in. And it's probably a good thing we did. I had 2 of these come apart like that, which tells me they were probably intermittent. These are pretty old wires. They're not the originals, but they say CarQuest on them, and I don't even know where a CarQuest auto parts store around here is. So I got the keys, so let's fire this up and see if she runs any better, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we're gonna fire it up now. She's running a little rough, but it's cold, so we'll have to hit the kick down and she'll settle right down. And she's running a whole lot smoother, so we do need to set the timing on it, but we accomplished to do today. He's actually running pretty good. Well, we did what we accomplished to do. You know, doing a poor man's tune-up with those wires, 6 of them are still good. If you keep the extra wires, you can, you know, mix and match sets. There's no sin in that. But, you know, if you can afford a new set, I recommend doing it. But, you know, the main thing is just the plugs, making sure you have a good connection and making sure that everything is in serviceable working order. About the only thing we really would have had to replace other than the 2 plug wires would be the cap. I always recommend replacing the cap. And the rotors are about $5, so if they had one, which for some reason they didn't seem to have a new one anywhere in town, you know, go ahead and replace that. But for under 20 bucks and a little bit of elbow grease, you can tune your car up, and it'll get you down the road for a little while longer. Now, I don't know how well this will work on some of the brand new stuff, but for these old things, that's all you need. So I hope this has been informative. Well, we had fun tuning it up. There really wasn't a whole lot with this today, so I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.